business.
Nico, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir.
Thank you. One of the things that I had to learn when I started in this job was to learn to speed read. And the reason is simply because when a report lands on your desk as the Financial Intelligence Center, you look at this download of 340 pages, and you've got to make a 5-minute summary of their work.
And that's a tall order.
It's a tall order, and you got to eliminate the nonsense from reality. So what is the Financial Intelligence Center? It's one of the many bodies that exist in South Africa and in every country around the world that tries to deal with criminal activity.
Brilliant.
And it is the good news that the headline in their report is that in the last 12 months, they conducted 3,424 investigations. And as a result of that, they recovered 5.8 billion rand.
Wow, that's significant.
Now, that money was recovered in cash. It's not what's going to be recovered after another court case has got to happen. The money has been recovered already.
Wow.
So that makes it very different from some of the other reports where they put figures of 70, 80 billion, but it's going to take 10 more years of court cases to actually turn that into money.
Okay.
So the advocate Khanyile, who is the chairperson, puts it this way, and I want to quote because I think it saves me from using my brains to summarize what she's actually doing. Criminals thrive in an environment where they can hide their unlawful activities and ill-gotten gains. They create false identities for themselves and their associates. They cover their tracks and create complex networks that challenge conventional crime-fighting methodologies. They exploit gaps in legislation to escape prosecution and can seamlessly operate across domestic and international borders.
That is
so
scary.
Against this kind of crime, the police are useless.
Yeah.
They are not going to be able to solve the problem, and that is what criminals have exploited. So let's look at 4 or 5 of the things that they've highlighted, and it'll give you an idea of what happens. So one municipality gets allocated money to build a sports field.
Okay.
The money goes to the municipality. It leaves their bank account, and it goes into the coffers of employees of that municipality, not to actually build the sports field. So they have not only arranged that the criminals be arrested, they've arranged that the money be recovered. So that's the kind of thing that they get involved in. And in this case, it was criminal activity on a municipal level. And that's very difficult to police because that's often in a village or a town somewhere. But that's where they are very good, and they were able to identify it. Then there was a travel agency. Now, this one is a business that operated. They sold packages, and tourists bought tickets to go on holiday. And in this particular case, this agency sold tickets for religious purposes.
Oh, so targeting certain specific religious groups.
And collected 30 million rand. And then failed to buy the tickets.
Oops.
And the visits didn't happen.
Yeah.
And this has been happening for several years. But in this particular case, they made an example. The money was recovered, and the travel agents have now faced the consequences of their action.
Brilliant.
The legislation has been tightened, and now you cannot, as an ordinary travel agent, suddenly expect yourself to be the expert and continue to operate in this particular way. So that door has now been closed.
Yeah.
But at least in this case, 30 million rand was recovered. Then there was a guy who lived in a neighboring country, and they robbed institutions and collected vast amounts of cash. Now, the problem is, if you're a robber, and you're collecting several million rand. How do you enjoy that money without people noticing?
True story.
So he thought the way is to put that money in suitcases and taxi the money into South Africa. And then what he's got to do is put that money in a bank account in South Africa. And because the robberies didn't happen in South Africa, the banks wouldn't create the links with the neighbor. And they did that. It didn't work very well because of something I'm going to say in a minute's time. So that money was recovered in South Africa and returned to the country where the crime was committed. A lot of criminal activities around the sex trade and the slave trade. And there was a major crime syndicate that got busted. And their issue was they're not going to get caught with cash. So what they're going to do is they're going to open cryptocurrency accounts. And they're going to put all the proceeds into cryptocurrency. And they thought that would make it invisible to SARS and to the tax authorities and invisible to the government. It does not work like that. And so they were identified simply because of the cryptocurrency. That money was recovered, the ring was closed down, and a couple of hundred sex slaves were freed and were able to return to their countries of origin.
Amazing.
Then the one that I thought was clever, you run an advert and you say, have you tried to get a bank loan? Has the bank said no? Contact me, I will help. You contact the person and he says, I will tell you what, I will give you some money, but you've got to go to a bank, you've got to get a bank account from that bank, and then you've got to give me that bank card, and I will then use that bank account in future. And you do that a couple of hundred times. And you put 30, 40, 50,000 in each one of those bank accounts that don't belong to you, but it enables you to hide money.
Yeah, because it's not your bank account. Oh my.
Now that works fine until one of those bank account holders gets suspicious and thinks, hang on, I got something for free. Am I breaking the law? And they go to the bank and they say to the bank, is this wrong? And the bank then tells Financial Intelligence Center, an investigation starts, and the criminal still gets caught.
Okay.
So that's the kind of activity.
Yeah.
Now, crime is not new. It's going to continue. It has always been there. It was at the time of Jesus Christ as well. And the Roman authorities were known for their criminal activity. The tax collectors were known for their criminal activities. What's going to happen next? And this is going to affect us. Churches are going to come under investigation because a lot of the churches are running businesses. They are selling holy water. They're selling special prayers to get you to heaven. And they're avoiding the fact that the pastors are not paying taxes on their money. That is going to stop. That is criminal activity. And that investigation is going to affect all of us. PBOs have to be investigated. That's going to become an issue, and so will NGOs. What has also happened that is helpful is our authorities have signed agreement with 100 countries around the world. So whatever we know, we share with those countries. Whatever they know, they share with us, which means it doesn't matter where you operate. It doesn't matter where the activity is conducted. It doesn't matter where the money is kept. It doesn't matter where you live. There's going to be no safe place for criminal activity in the future. That's good news. And for our side, we got 5.8 million rand back, and we certainly will get back a lot more as they build their teeth.
That's brilliant. Nico, thank you so much for chatting to us about this. And I think it's so important for godly men and women to rise up and to be the change we long to see in the community, in the city, in the country that we live in. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we can do this.